Welcome to another episode of Tampa Bay Politics. I'm your host, Angela Birdsong, also affectionately known as the Medicare Lady, because during the week, what I do is help people successfully age on to Medicare and, of course, help them with life insurance. Now, today, I am so excited because we have one of our sitting Hillsborough County School Board members who's taken the time to talk about her experience as a school board member. And you know, there's a lot of stuff going on downtown. So thank you, Karen Perez, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So thank you, Karen. Okay. So, you know what? Everyone who's in the hot seat, the first thing I do is I talk about you. Where were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, so was I. How you like that? Where?
Actually, near Williamsburg Bridge, you know, that area.
Okay.
Yes.
I was born, well, I was actually born in Elmhurst General Hospital in Queens, New York, where my parents lived in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
Okay.
That was my first residence. Okay, so how long did you spend in New York?
Well, I was there until about 16 years old.
Okay.
And then my mom decided, you know, to move my sister and I here to Florida in order for me to be able to go to college here in Florida. So we moved from New York here to Tampa.
Okay, straight to Tampa, Florida.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I attended King High School.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then where'd you go to college?
And my first step into college was at the Tampa Technical Institute, and I followed a track of satellite communications design.
Oh, that's an interesting major.
Yes, yes.
And so did you stay in that field?
Well, actually, I went to work for NASA for about a year,
Okay.
and it just wasn't what I thought it would be. You know, the STEM track for me wasn't it, because I was working by myself.
Oh.
You know, having to design satellite communication systems. You know, you worked on your own, and you know,
In a cubicle by yourself?
no, actually, it was in a non-static room. So it was, you know, you walked in, you had non-static outfit and goggles and a little hat and, you know, booties. So, you know, the equipment you worked with you had to make sure that there was no static that went to it. If not, it would a lot of the like diodes or resistors would end up shorting out.
Oh.
So, you know, I was always in a room by myself. So after a year, I decided to come back over here to Tampa, and you know, ended up getting married, and you know, married for 15 years, and
Any children?
I have 3 adult children.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, are they here in Tampa with you?
Actually, 2 are in Tampa, and 1 moved on to work on Wall Street in New York.
Okay, wonderful. Now, where's your family originally from?
Well, both my parents are from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a long history of Puerto Rican migration into New York.
Yes, we do.
Yes. My family immigrated from the Caribbean as well.
Okay.
Well, half South America, half from Guyana, and half from Barbados.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a lot of New Yorkers.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I find them here in Florida too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what did you do after you left NASA?
Well, I like I mentioned, I ended up getting married,
Okay.
and you know, became a housewife, and you know, after 15 years, we split up, and I was in St. Pete for those 15 years, and then in 1997, I decided to go back to school, and decided to take a track of social work because my family was very, very community oriented.
Okay.
You know, taught us that service to the community became, very much in line of God, family, and community service.
Okay.
And so I started. I went back to school. Came here to HCC in Ybor City,
Okay.
and then from HCC I went on to USF, and I completed my degree, a bachelor's degree in social work, and then my master's in 2002.
And then where'd you go on to from there?
So I started working for Northside Mental Health.
Okay.
And then from there, I became a supervisor for Hillsborough Kids, which was like a foster care
Which was the
adoption
foster care agency.
Yes.
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 And now it's Eckerd?
Eckerd, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. My family was a foster care family
Oh,
in New
okay.
York. We took in foster care children.
Nice. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So I'm familiar with that system.
Yeah.
So then, how long did you spend with Hillsborough Kids?
I was there for 6 years.
Okay.
And then the VA.
Now, that's a pretty challenging job.
It was. But I loved it. I
Okay.
love working with the families. And some in attempts to reunify, the children back with their families. But unfortunately, some, ended up
cannot.
in adoption and, the foster care system. But I absolutely loved my job.
Okay.
And I'm a certified traumatologist. And
So you're used to dealing with trauma.
yes.
Okay.
So in 2007, the VA, scouted me out.
Really
Yes,
interesting.
and
Gave you an offer you couldn't refuse.
exactly. No, but we had a lot of our veterans coming back home, from the Gulf War, and
And they needed good people.
and they did, and they need traumatologists to help the veterans,
see.
work and deal with the trauma that they were exposed to. And so I made the transition from working with children to working with veterans, and I've been there ever since.
And how many years have you been there?
I'm going on 15.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so that's home.
Yes, yes, yes.
And working with the veterans, what's a daily job like for you now?
Well, at first I worked at the at right there at James A. Haley,
Okay.
in the primary care clinics, and now I work with the geriatrics population. Those are World War II veterans,
Really? Okay.
Vietnam vets, and they are the ones that are at home and unable to come to the hospital, to the clinics. So we go to their homes, and it's a
Oh.
whole team of us. I'm the social worker on the team. We have a primary care physician, ARNP. We have a RN, KT, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and so the whole team. So the veteran has a whole team that visits them every 90 days.
You don't
So-
all go at once.
We don't go all at once. We spread out
Okay,
throughout those
okay.
90 days.
Okay.
And
That's a great thing to do, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
great
I didn't.
concept,
Yeah,
yeah.
great concept. I didn't know
Mhm.
they worked that way.
yeah.
Okay.
And so, the really nice part about it is that the veteran that is at home will see more providers than the veteran that really goes to the primary care physician at the hospital.
And they may or may not need as much care, but I'm sure as they get older, they
Yes.
do need more care.
Yeah.
Because I deal with Medicare recipients.
Yes.
Yes, and Medicaid recipients. Yeah.
and we were able to provide those, like the equipment that they need to stay safe and stay home,
Okay.
or even the home health aides that are there that they need to help bathe them and dress them and help them with the ADLs. So that keeps them out
That
of
is it. Activities of daily living.
yes, yes, and that keeps them out of the nursing homes
Okay.
or the ALFs, and
Because everybody wants to stay home as long as they can.
yes, 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 and it keeps them with their families.
So at some point along the way, you ran for office.
I did.
Okay. What year was that?
Well, the first time I ran in 2004. I ran for State House.
Oh, you did? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
yes. I
Okay.
ran for it was District 60. I think they redistrict after that, but um, it was District 60. It was up in New Tampa area,
Okay.
and Lutz area around there, but and I lost only by about 3,000 votes.
Really?
Yeah, won the primary by 62%, and
So who
and then,
who reached you? Was it Tom Lee?
no, it was Dr. Homan,
Dr.
Ed
Holman.
Homan. Uh-huh.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
not in office now, right?
No, no.
Who's in that seat now?
Actually, it's Fentress.
Is
It's
that
in that
60?
Well, it's redistrict, so it's now
Oh.
different.
It's
number.
different.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, okay, because that is my representative because I'm in
Yes.
Carrollwood.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that Tom Lee might have been in that seat, and now it's Burnett. I guess they must have split it because that
Yes.
New Tampa Lutz area,
Yeah.
and then it goes out into Pasco County.
Right.
It's and Polk. It's a very strange district.
The way they read that the territories is different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because we had Kathy Lewis run in
Right.
that seat.
Right.
Yes. Yes. And
Yes.
unfortunately, she didn't win.
When,
But
yes.
But we keep trying to get our black people elected.
Yes. And then in 2018, I ran for school board.
And you won.
I did.
Now it
I
wasn't
did.
easy because you had a primary to go through.
I had a primary, and it was five males and myself.
And then you had a runoff to go through
I did. I had a runoff
with Shake Washington.
with Shake Washington.
Okay,
Yes.
but you came through that one.
I did.
All right. So now you've been on the board how long?
Well, 2019 and 2020. So 2
Okay,
years.
2 years.
Yes.
All right. And
Yes.
have you felt like you've been able to get anything accomplished? I know it's a short period of time.
Well, with mental health, I ran on mental health issues. Watching our students, the suicide rate was so high when
I'm sorry to
when
hear that.
I was running, and now it's decreased. Letting our parents know that we had mental health services in our schools, but also a partnership in the community, and getting those mental health dollars into our schools, not just here in Hillsborough County, but across Florida, is so imperative.
Well, what a timely topic, especially with COVID.
Oh, definitely.
So,
Yes.
yeah, you were right on time with that because we have on top of everything else, now
Yes.
we have the stress of being at home and
Yes.
virtual learning, and
Mhm.
the parents are stressed out. Everybody is stressed out.
Yes. Yes. Now it's become not just a student issue, but a family issue as
Issue.
well.
Okay.
Yes, we're watching mental health take a whole different direction. As a provider, I have also a private practice. So as I watch the veterans and our students, and then also the community, mental health has now taken front and center stage. When people did not feel comfortable in the past speaking about mental health, now they're
Well,
given
we're going to
permission
take
to.
our first break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about a bill that you're working on through the Florida State House and State Senate.
Yeah.
And did you want people to contact you about your campaign?
Yes, I would love that.
Tell me your number.
813-493-7705.
Okay. So this lady is up for election again. We'll
Thank
talk
you.
more about that too.
Okay.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
We're back, and in the house we have with us Miss Karen Perez, and she is one of your school board members. And there's a whole lot going on at the Hillsborough County School Board. I hope we can even get to all of it. But you know what? Before we do that, I'm so amazed that you have this bill that you're working on.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about it?
Yes. So when I first came on the school board, I conducted a mental health tour throughout Hillsborough County, and I noticed that the folks that were attending the tour had no idea about the services that Hillsborough County schools provide with regard to mental health. And, you know, we have school counselors, we have social workers, we have partnerships in the community that provide mental health services, and the school system pays for those services.
And that's important.
Yes. And unfortunately, there were parents in the audience whose children had committed suicide. And
So sad.
they verbalized that had they known that there was services out in the community, they would have had their children, you know, attend
Take
those services
advantage
and
of
take
that.
advantage.
Yes.
And now they were, you know, themselves going through grief counseling because of the loss of their children. So when that happened, along parallel to my mental health tours, there were several other states who were passing bills for mental health days. Those states were passing these bills for their students to be able to call in and take a mental health day. They were acknowledging that mental health and physical health were not one and the same, but, you know, although, you know, the students will call in and say, I'm stressed out, you know, I just need to take a day off. But the only difference between what I wanted to do and what the other states were doing was that when a parent will call in for a mental health day, that we provide them with the resources. Because of my mental health tour, I had to acknowledge that not everyone knew
That those services were even available.
Correct. Or, you know, in the line, in the vein that you provide, that a lot of parents had no access to insurance, you know, and that we would be able to educate them about Medicaid,
Oh, okay.
about those resources, you know, and there was a lot of parents who could not afford, they could afford insurance for themselves through their jobs, but not for the family plan.
Oh, yes.
So
It's very expensive, some of those
correct.
family plans.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, to be able to get that education. So, so I sat down and, you know, put together this bill, asked Representative Valdez, you know, to join me with this. So we both collaborated along with Senator Rousson. And
Who's in the Senate?
who's in the Senate, correct?
Okay. Because with a bill, you have to have representation in the state as a state representative and a state senator.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. So, what happened last year is that the House it passed in the House
Okay.
because a lot of the representatives came to discuss that bill with the DSM. It's the Diagnostic Manual for Statistics, which is a manual that therapists use to diagnose.
I see.
And they were able to talk about this bill very candidly using that diagnosis manual. And it passed in the House after much debate, but it didn't pass in the Senate.
Oh.
Only because the senators looked at it like, well, they already have days off. You know, they have excused absences, so it's one and the same. So it fell in the Senate. So we turned around and we presented it again this year.
Okay.
What our Susan Valdez, Representative Valdez, did was that she changed the wording to include mental health along with physical health for days off. So it passed again, all the committees in the House, and now we're waiting,
To
with
see what
bated
happens
breath
in the Senate.
in the Senate again. You know,
But what I like about it is if someone calls in for a mental health day and then alerts
yeah.
some people on the staff that this child is having an issue, and then you're able to you were telling me you can then counsel them.
No,
or,
that we provide them with the resources
I see. Okay.
that's out in the community. We can help them, be able to access those resources, and with the possibility of reducing mental health crisis here in our community, especially here in Hillsborough County, which we are the third largest in the state, the seventh largest in the nation, as far as schools.
Yes.
And to be able to help our community through a mental health crisis, to help our children know that it's okay. If you're having depression, if you're feeling suicidal, if you're having a bad day, it's okay. In the past, I know when I was growing up, people would say, "Oh, just brush it off, suck it up." That mental health was not acknowledged as it is, as it's being done today. Today, even you have artists, you have singers, you have actors who are going public and acknowledging that they too have mental
health crises
issues.
Yes.
Yeah, and that for them it's okay. It's okay. They've given themselves permission to go seek counseling. That it's okay to have a bad day, and that you're not a bad person for having a bad day.
I was just hearing somewhere on the news how many children think that suicide is an option just because of cyberbullying. So you've got a lot of issues, and you got people out there who are suffering from regular mental health challenges, schizophrenia, bipolar, all those things I'm sure presenting when they're young.
And to me, there was an alarm going off when I first ran for office when we have 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds that see suicide as an option. When I was 6, 7 years old, I didn't even know what suicide was.
I know. I don't even know how they pull that off.
And for today, for our children to feel that that is an option, and for them to go through with it, that is, it's distressful to me.
Yes.
And so I can't imagine how their parents feel. And so, we have to change the face of, mental health. We have to make it okay. We have to make it a discussion that we can have at the table, that, parents could be able to have a conversation with their child. How are you feeling? Mentally and physically, that how you feeling conversation is just not, do you have a fever? Do you have a bellyache? How is your mental wellness today?
Yes.
And that's so imperative.
And, like you said, so many parents don't know what is available to them.
Correct.
And when my son was in private school, someone said to me, you can get speech therapy for your son because you're a taxpayer. And so I ended up going to the public school because he had a stutter, kind of a lisp stutter thing going on. So I was able to go ahead and take advantage of those services that the public school offered. But if someone had not mentioned it, you would not know these services are there.
Right. And they're available, and it's free.
Right.
That's the word that a lot of people don't hear nowadays. There's always a cost associated with anything, any supports that a child needs. There's always a cost, and our parents just do not have that cost option. They hear, it's 100, 200, 300, and our parents are barely just paying the rent. Putting a roof and clothes on their children.
And you know what I've found out? Most of these mass shooters, or people who commit crimes, the people know, the family knows that there's a problem there. that there's an issue there. They knew when the guy in Atlanta, when his picture showed up, before he could get to Florida, the family had already identified who he was. They knew he had a mental health challenge, and the police were able to pick him up right away.
But it's being able to get the services that they need,
Yes.
at the right time. Those services that are going to support not just the student, but the entire family. Because if you know that a child has mental health issues, you know that that family also needs those supports in place. So, and it's been like, right now, especially during COVID, that a lot of mental health issues have surfaced.
Yes.
Families that didn't realize that they needed these services now are saying, wait a minute, since
We
we've
need
been,
help.
and so it's making sure that, there's a word, it's called sustainability. If you've funded, mental health services one time, that's not sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to help anyone. It's like going to a counselor 2 times and you're supposed to be better.
Yeah, it could be years.
Yes. So, I try to talk about sustainability when I speak to, our U.S. representatives or our U.S. senators, reminding them that, hey, it's great that we got funding, right now during COVID, but understand that these problems don't go away. They're not here today and gone. This is not a one and done.
Right.
That we're going to need sustainability to help our students and their families long after COVID is gone and long after all the doors are wide open. Because after the doors are wide open, we're going to see a lot more happening.
Yes.
And-
yes. Because COVID is amazing because it has unearthed, it has shown a light on
Yes.
things that were already there.
Correct.
So, you have children who in poverty, they automatically they're having mental challenges because the parents aren't working, or one is in jail, or one is on drugs, and that a happy home, it's not a happy home, and they're going to have serious mental challenges, which they're going to present at school.
Right. Well, it's what COVID did. It uncovered things that society has been trying to cover up for a very long time, and it did not allow society to, there's a saying in Spanish that they try to cover the sun with their thumb, and so it did not allow society just to turn their back and say this is not happening.
Right.
Now society has to acknowledge and has to fix this long coming problem. It's been there for years.
Right.
But now they have to acknowledge it, and now they have to fix it.
Okay, we're getting towards another break.
Okay.
But before we go, do you want to ask people for anything? Money, volunteers for your
Yeah.
upcoming election?
Volunteers, donations would be wonderful to get this campaign up and going. And your support, more than anything, your support would be just fantastic.
Where would they find you? On the internet?
Yes, I'm going to get my website going. And, I have, on Facebook, I'm always on Facebook. But, you could also give me a call, 813-493-7705.
And you're collecting money?
I am.
Good.
Yes,
Do you have a campaign manager?
I do.
Who is that?
Okay. His name is Mark Hennessy.
Mark Hennessy is your
Yes.
campaign manager.
Yes.
He's that man knows how to raise money.
Yes.
He
yes.
raises a lot of money for the Democratic Party.
He does. He
Yeah,
does.
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was actually the man for you.
He
Okay.
is.
All
He
right.
is.
And what about Patrick Montega? Is he involved?
He is. He is also involved in helping me with my campaign.
Okay.
Yes.
And he runs a little newspaper, doesn't he?
He does, like I said that.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Going back 2 generations, if not more.
Yes. They've been around for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a newspaper man on your side.
There you go. There you go.
All right. So, but you don't have your website yet. It's coming?
It's coming. Yes.
All right.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, we'll be back in about a minute.
Thank you.
In Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
Hello, Kubo. What have you got planned for today?
Come on, this way.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
It's the most powerful magic there is.
Head outside to discover incredible animals.
Wow.
And beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure. So grab your loved ones and explore a world of possibilities. Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
My teacher said that we should have a plan in case of an emergency. Do we have one?
First thing I'm gonna do is grab a flashlight with dead batteries.
I'm going to start randomly throwing clothes in the bag. You two will be hiding in the closet and Dad won't be able to find you.
And that's when we both start crying.
Uncontrollably. Can you pass the cutlets?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
We're back. It's hard to believe we're halfway through. And I am Angela Birdsong, and I am here with an awesome guest, and she is with the Hillsborough County School Board. She's one of our members, sitting members. That's Miss Karen Perez.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by. So good to have you. All right, so we got some problems with the budget down there.
We do.
I think they're short about $50 million, something in that area.
Yes.
And, I did want to ask you, do you think they should sell that building downtown?
Well, they're looking at selling it, but the one of the issues that I have is, and I'm going to say it, is a lack of transparency. I know for us, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm one of 7. Is that I ask questions, and the question is met with an answer, and then 2 days later, there's another answer.
It's never the same answer.
Correct. It's always something different. And I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. And I'm speaking about the community. When I speak to community members, when I speak to staff, they have the same exact response. As far as transparency or the lack thereof.
Okay.
So it's very difficult. But
you were saying that there were some areas that you feel where they could find money as opposed to firing teachers.
Oh, like let me say this: Kelly Services. That contract, when I first was elected, they talked about that contract with Kelly Services. Kelly Services receives about $15 million from the district, and I'm gonna read from some.
Well, let's just say that Kelly Services is providing substitute teachers.
Correct.
So they got rid of the old system where they used to find the teachers themselves.
Correct. The subs themselves. They're from HR. They would call and get the substitute teachers, and then they decided to contract it out. Now, you probably hear about contracting out recently because they're looking to do this with the janitorial services.
Yes, which they met with a brick wall.
Correct.
In the community.
And it's coming up again.
That's what they do with these things.
Yeah.
They wait for it to simmer down, and next thing you know, they're back again.
So let's talk about the contract services. So with Kelly Services in 2014, they had a fill rate of 88.6%. And from 2015 to 2016, they had 88%. 2016 to 2017, they had 87.2%. 2017 to 2018, they had 82% fill rate. Notice what's happening. 2018 to 2019, they had a 79.8 fill rate percent. So every year, it seems like they're slacking. The numbers are going down. But my concern is,
So when you say fill rate
is that they
might have 100,000 requests, but 33% or 30% is not being filled.
So I'm gonna give you an example. So in 2013, 2014, Hillsborough County Schools estimated that 131,423 requests for substitutes, and 33,662 requests went unfulfilled, for a total of 74.
What happens if you need a teacher in the classroom and you can't find anybody?
That's where I'm having an issue. So why don't we take the 2018 2019, set the 79% fill rate. So that's leaving a 21% short. I'm trying to figure out where the short is. What schools? If it's in our transformation schools, and
which is another word for poverty stricken.
Yes. Well, I'm just trying to figure out where what transformation has happened, because I still have yet to see a transformation take place. All they're doing is transforming the name, because at first it was achievement, now it's transformation. I'm trying to figure out what else is going to be they're going to name it, because I have yet to see any transformation.
It's still
take
basically
place.
D minus
Correct.
schools. Okay.
Yes. And so if the fill rate is happening in the the Steinbrenner schools, the Newsom schools, the Plant schools, that's great for those students. But if our students in our transformation schools are still being left without a substitute teacher because their teachers are not there, and what are they filling? Are they filling classrooms that there are no teachers, or are they filling a classroom where the teacher is just absent? I'm just having an issue with.
So you're sitting on the
whole
school
thing.
board, and you don't have the answers to these questions.
Correct, because they're just not providing us these answers. So this coming up
Board meeting.
School board meeting. I'm going to be just asking these questions, and I ask the questions in the sunshine, because if I ask these questions, in my one-on-one with the superintendent, like I mentioned earlier, he'll give me an answer, and then 2 days later, the answer changes.
Okay.
So I rather have that response recorded and in the sunshine, where everyone could hear that answer.
And just so everyone knows, the Sunshine Law also prohibits board members from speaking to each other.
Correct.
About anything that could come up before the board.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's just for me, it just would behoove this district to look at that Kelly Service contract, remove it, and put that $15 million back into our district. And I know earlier we discussed how much it would cost. So Kelly Services is paying our substitute teachers $8.49
an hour
for a total of $84
for
the day. And yes, for teaching, and $10 for if they have an AA or a bachelor's level degree in teaching. So, I'm just not understanding how the district is comfortable with this, because I know I'm not.
Okay.
And, but paying a service $15 million and shorting our teachers is a problem for me.
Right.
So looking at that piece, that $15 million that Kelly Services is receiving, but then also one of the issues I have is when the superintendent talked to us about eliminating positions, he didn't provide a template of what this is going to look like culturally. He just told the principals, do what you need to do, but do what you need to do for me screams of an issue. Because when you're looking at these schools that are very diverse, when you're looking at our student population, when you're looking at the need for our students to see especially our children of color, to see administrators that look like them, teachers that look like them,
Right.
teachers
You want
that
to make sure
can
that they're
relate
not
with them.
And the first hired are usually the first to go, and we need as many diverse teachers as
Correct.
possible.
But it's not even the first hired. But to me, I feel
I should say last hired. I should say.
yeah.
Yes.
But that it's not just that those teachers. It's also some of our staff. We don't know how they think, how they feel about their staff. If they target these staff just to get rid of them. For me is I would have wanted to see a template of what
How you decide who stays and who goes.
Correct.
Okay.
Not just do what you feel or just eliminate positions, because the elimination of positions historically has always affected people of color.
I see.
And staff of color.
Mhm.
And that's just not something we make up. That's historically been
The numbers
proven.
bear it out.
Correct. Been proven, and for me, I would have rather seen a template for him to say, this is what I need from you as principals, and this is what you need to show me, if you're going to cut staff.
Now, did I hear it was about 1,500 positions that are going to be eliminated?
1,080.
1,080,
Mhm.
and those are all teachers.
No.
It's teachers, and a combination of teachers and staff.
It's staff, counselors, yes. So, I really am. And ESE professionals.
That's English as a second language, right?
Yes, ESE or, yeah.
Oh, and they will be on the chopping block too.
Correct.
Have they gotten their pink slips already? Do they know?
I don't know yet. I don't know when. That's what I'm saying. There's a lack of transparency. There's a lack of, just all the way around. It's just very difficult. We had a meeting, a board workshop just last week when they presented us these numbers. And then, in presenting those numbers, I verbalized the fact that, they were able to put together all these numbers for teachers and staff, but no administrators out of ROSAC or the ISC, that they deliberately left
What
out
is
those
ISC?
numbers. The building over on 40th Street. It's just all administrators in those buildings.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So you don't know if some of those administrators are on the chopping block.
Correct, because they didn't present those numbers to us.
I see. Okay.
And that's what I'm speaking of, the transparency or the lack thereof. Is it's very difficult for us as well, for me, I will keep speaking about myself, to be able to do my job, as a board member, and make these decisions, so that's why I have to stand back for a moment before I make any decision, but I'm always verbalize that in the sunshine.
Now, there are 7 of you. When do you meet? When are your board meetings?
Every other Tuesday, but for some reason, we've been down to one board meeting a month lately. I have no idea why.
When is your next meeting?
The next meeting is the 13th. Let me see.
Of next month?
Of next month, yes.
And
Yeah,
are they
13th.
open to the public?
They are. And you could
Okay.
also sign up to make public comment if you like.
And where do you meet?
And we meet downtown in Rosac at 901 East Kennedy.
Okay, so that's in the big building downtown.
It is.
Okay. Well, 1 minute to break.
Okay.
And I always say, give me your phone number again.
Okay. My contact information is 813-493-7705.
Say that one more time slowly.
Okay. 813-493-7705.
Okay. So we're going to come back and talk about more school board issues.
Okay. Thank you.
Just don't you bring me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't? Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
In Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
Okay, we're back with school board member Karen Perez.
Thank you.
She's got a lot of work to do down there at the school board. It's one of the biggest in the state of Florida and one of the biggest in the nation.
It is.
And tell me real quick, who are the school board members you serve with?
So it's Jessica Vaughn, Shake Washington, Stacy Hahn, Lynn Gray, Melissa Snively, and Nadia Combs.
How many Democrats do we have on the board now?
4.
4 out of 7. So there is a majority Democrats.
Correct.
Okay. Hopefully that's going to be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're in a transition period now. We are. So have they discontinued standardized testing?
So I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm going to go back to last year, and then I'm going to come into standardized testing for a minute. A lot of our students last year, we had 315 COCs, and what a COC is a certificate of completion.
Okay.
So it looks like a diploma, but it's not a diploma.
I see.
And the children can't do anything
with it. They
Right.
can't go on to college?
They can't go on to college. They can't get a job. They can't do anything with this certificate of completion.
Really?
Right. So, and the majority of the students that received the COC last year were Black and Hispanic students.
Really?
There were only 8 Caucasian students that received the COC.
Out of how many?
Out of 315.
Oh.
Okay.
When do they get that?
At graduation, they walk across. They think they're getting a diploma. They graduate, and this is not even worth the paper it's written on.
How did they make the decision that someone gets a COC?
So, their grades and their test.
Oh.
It has everything to do with the standardized test.
I see. So if they don't get a good enough score?
Correct. So now, when I looked at that, and this year, guess how many students are getting COCs this year?
I don't know.
None. Guess why? Because we didn't have to take a test this year.
Oh, I see.
Right. And so, they're touting that, oh my goodness, everybody's passing this year. The graduation rates are high. But it's because our students were excused from taking the standardized test.
I see.
And so, when I look at the standardized test, if we had to give that standardized test to our Caucasian students, and it's called something, I'm going to pull it up. There was a test. And you're going to have to excuse my...
Well, while you're doing that, I'm very curious to know what's happening to the 300 kids that got the COC. Can they...
They can't do anything with it.
Can they
So
change it?
if we had to give, instead of the standardized test, if we had to give the Black Intelligence Test of Cultural Homogeneity, I don't believe our Caucasian students would pass. Imagine if they had to pass that test in order to graduate from high school. How many COCs they would receive at that point?
Okay, so what is on the standardized test? Is this just
So our students of color, Black and Hispanic, are being tested on the white culture.
I see.
Correct?
Yes.
Am I right? Am I correct?
I don't know everything that's on the test, but I'm going to take your word for it.
let's
I mean, is it
let's
math?
talk
Is it-
let's talk serious.
Okay.
So when a child in the inner city is on the test, it's talking about a yacht. What is that child going to know about a yacht?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So this Black Intelligence test was given to some students, and the Black Intelligence test, the students failed it. It was, I really suggest that our audience, and you look up this test, but the Caucasian students failed it miserably. But
okay, and what's
our
on there? What's a hoopty?
Our students of color passed it.
What's on there? What questions are on there?
It was a test, and I'm gonna tell you who it was. It was really neat. That because the standardized tests have implicit bias.
Okay,
That's what
it
that's
is
what
true.
they're
It is true.
speak to.
It is true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it's really amazing that there's still, we're in 2021 and we're still expecting our children of color, whether Hispanic, Asian, Black, Caribbean, to pass a test that it's already known that it's only
that white people are
put
going to do
together.
better on those tests.
But it's only put together for Caucasian children to pass.
I see.
And we still have not come to a place where we eliminate that. And not just that we have our teachers teaching to a test and eliminating our children from learning what they really need to learn in the classrooms.
And that's the standardized test that they have to pass yearly, right?
Correct. In third grade, they have to pass a test, and then, of course, in their high school years.
Are they being left back if they don't pass?
They're not being left back. There's sometimes they're being pushed forward,
Okay.
and they're not understanding half the stuff. But then they're being provided a certificate of completion that they can't do anything with. And then they wonder why the justice system, we have the school to prison pipeline, and then they wonder why our children are out there committing crimes.
Right.
They're felons because the school system has set them up
for failure.
Not just for failure, but to be another inmate because they can't find a job.
Right.
If I'm giving somebody a child a certificate that has no value,
right?
How are they going to find a job?
And they can't fix that? Can they fix it?
Why are they going to fix a system?
No,
that's
no. I'm
helping?
saying, once they get that COC, there's
no
turning back.
Why are they going to fix a system that's feeding a prison system that's making money off of our children? Why?
Well, they say they can tell just by the third grade reading levels how many children are going to be in prison.
That's why they take the test in third grade. And then the child in third grade, when they don't pass that test, they feel stupid all the way going up.
Yes.
And then they're targeted. Our children are targeted. Our children are starting to be left behind because the teachers already know, oh, he didn't pass the test, so I'm not even going to worry about him. I'm not even going to teach him how to read right now because I'm going to focus on the kids who are going to put an A in my classroom. And that's a problem. That's just a problem with me.
I know, because those students should be targeted for tutoring.
Not just tutoring. They should be targeted for something different. Not this test. Not this test that our kids get so frustrated because some of our kids will say, what in the world is a condo? What is, they have words in these tests that our children will never see, will never understand what it is. And it's frustrating our children. It's causing them to get angry.
Yes.
It's causing our children not to want to pay attention in school. Because when they see other children in their classroom that
progressing,
that
and
understand,
not. Yes,
and they're like, oh, it's me, but it's not them. It's that they're being pushed to learn a culture that's not their culture.
I see.
Words that don't fit into their world.
Right.
And so when I'm asked about this test, forget it. When I went, I'm going to give you my experience.
Okay.
When I went, I'm Hispanic, grew up, my mom speaks very little English.
Okay.
When I went to college, I took the GRE 3 times, failed it. So they gave me a provisional entrance into the social work master's program. I graduated top in my class.
Really?
My thesis won an award at USF.
And you couldn't pass the test.
It was a monetary award, too. And I defended my thesis as a master's student in front of the doctoral students. So it has nothing to do with these tests. And we just continue and continue and continue, jeopardizing the future of our children based on these tests. And when I think COVID-19 had to come in order for us to see that our children are intelligent.
Yes.
Our children are amazing. But what society's doing is it's dictating their future on an exam.
Right.
And that's how they limit our kids. The school to prison pipeline, COVID gave it the test. And I know that this exam is what's triggering that school to prison pipeline.
Wow.
Every day.
And you know what? I believe they're not having the SATs. And it's opening the floodgates for children just to, hey, apply to the school of your choice.
There you go.
Before that was a boundary that if you didn't get a certain number, you couldn't even apply. And if you didn't have a legacy to help you in, so that legacy thing is another boundary.
So I want the audience to seriously look at that Black Intelligent Test of Cultural Homogeneity.
You need another name.
Yes.
But anyway, we get the point.
Yeah, but
that there's words they don't know that we know.
But to understand how that test demonstrated the division that when you're providing an exam that has that cultural division, that dividing line to students, that they're going to fail every time. And they don't want our children to progress. That's society, not our children.
Now, I don't know how you feel about this, but this computer, this handheld devices in everybody's hand, they like to use slang on it. And they don't use real words, full words.
But that's our culture.
And I sometimes I say, I don't know if that's a good thing for the children.
That's our culture. That's like rap. That's like, our dreads. That's like, and when you eliminate that, you eliminate part of who our children are.
But do you think it helps them with grammar? Do you think it hurts them?
For me, that's who our children are.
Okay. Well, we're getting up to another break again. It's the end? No, you're kidding. We went through. We're at the end of the show already.
I know. I had so much fun with you. This was great conversation.
Yes. Yeah. We got to get this tape out there.
Okay.
You know, it's always on Facebook on Tampa Bay Politics.
Okay.
But spread, share, like, In Touch News, and we'll see you again next Wednesday.
Thank you for having me here.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to have the Parks and Rec lady next week.